bright future. Every student matters.
Hello children, welcome to the session. In this session, we are going to discuss about few question and answers. These questions are very interesting children, and these are also important from the exam point of view. Some of the questions are definitely asked in examinations, okay? So be very careful and alert while listening to these questions. These are also very interesting, okay? So you need not cram anything, just understand the concept, and I'm sure if you have watched the session of this part, you will be able to answer all of the questions, okay? So let's begin with the first question, which is what is groundwater? So children, if we try to dig the ground from the surface, we will reach a height where we find water. And this is known as, the water which is found below the surface level is known as groundwater. So, or we also sometimes call it as underground water, because it is the water which is found below the surface level, and it is this water that we can harness with the help of hand pumps, submersibles, or even the tube wells. Okay children, these are some of the ways in which we can harness this groundwater, okay? So let's move to the next question, which is what is water table? So children, as we have discussed, what is the groundwater? The water which is found below the surface level, okay? But children, the height at which, or the rather we should say the depth, because the height will go upwards, right? We are digging down. So the depth at which we find the water is known as water table. And children, at different places, this water table may vary, okay? At some places it is at some less depth, or some other areas we will have to dig very deep in order to reach the water table, okay? And this can also be depleted because of overuse of this groundwater, okay children? So what is water table? Water table is the depth at which we start finding this groundwater, okay? So let's move to the next question, which is what is infiltration? So children, whenever rain falls on the surface or on the ground area where the surface is not made up of concrete, we have free soil, so the water will seep down towards the soil, and this seeping of water down the soil is known as infiltration, and it is this process which helps us in replenishing the groundwater, okay children? So this is all about infiltration. Now let's move to the next and the last question, which is what is an aquifer? So children, we know what is water table, now we know what is groundwater. So children, sometimes the groundwater is found in the cracks or the gaps of the hard rocks, and this water which is found in the cracks or the spaces between the hard rocks is known as an aquifer, and this water from the aquifer can be extracted with the help of pumps, okay children? Question is, what can be the causes of depletion of water table? So children, what are the causes for the depletion of water table? We already know that the depth at which the water is found below the ground is known as water table. We already know that. You need not write this in your exams, because this question can be asked in a 3 to 5 marker question. I am just explaining it to you, but you don't need to write what is water table, you just need to write the causes here. So children, the first cause of water table depletion is increasing population. So children, all the other causes are also related to the first cause, that is the population increase. Suppose there were only 20 people living in a village, and suddenly the number of people increased to 2000. So can the water needs be fulfilled for such a large population? Definitely not, right children? So what happens is, because of this increase in population, there can be two other things that you need to remember. Two more points here, which is when the population is increasing, we need more water for day-to-day activities, right? Like brushing our teeth, bathing, cleaning, etc., right? So this need of water is increased multiple times with the increasing population. Also children, with increasing population, we will be requiring more residential areas. We will be requiring more shopping complexes, markets, etc. And while doing so, what will happen then? Again, you'll have to remember 2 points, which can be, we'll have to do deforestation, that is, we'll have to clear the forest areas in order to create residential areas or shopping complexes, right? And while doing so, what we are doing, we are replacing the open soil area with the concrete or the pakka floor, and this pakka floor do not allow the rainfall to seep through it, and as a result the groundwater will not be replenished, and it will ultimately lead to the depletion of the water table, right? So children, also when we'll be creating those residential areas after deforestation, we will have to do lot of construction, right? And in construction process a large amount of water is required. So children, for day to day activities as well as for the construction activities, all the water needs cannot be fulfilled because of the rainfall, right? Because the rainfall is already disturbed because of global warming and several other reasons, right? So we would be using the groundwater, and when the population is so large, the water requirement will be so large that we will be over exploiting this groundwater, and it will ultimately lead to the depletion of water table. Okay, then children, the next point which is responsible for water table depletion is increasing industrial activities, right children? So children, this is, again I told you that this is related to the first point, which is increasing population. So children, when the population is increasing, the demand for industries will also rise, say for papers, for garments, right? And both these industries, paper industries and this garment industries, require a large amount of water. Again, the water requirement for these industries will be fulfilled by harnessing water from the groundwater, which will ultimately lead to the depletion of water table. Okay, and also while creating the industries, we'll have to clear the forest, it will cause deforestation, and again we will be replacing the open sources of soil with the concrete floors, which will not allow the rainfall to seep through the soil, and it will not replenish the groundwater. So it is also one of the major causes for the depletion of water table. Then third point children, which is responsible for water table depletion, is agricultural activities. Agricultural activities. So children, agricultural activities, you also know that this is also again related to the increasing population. With ever increasing population, there is a pressure on the agricultural sector to create more and more crops, more yield, right? And for this will be requiring a large amount of water, because entire demand for such large production cannot be fulfilled through rainwater. So again we will be harnessing the groundwater using tube wells to irrigate our fields, and again children, it will lead to the depletion of water table. Okay, so children, I'll just sum it up for you. So what are the 3 points that you need to remember? The first point is increasing population, second point is industrial activities, and third point is agricultural activities. And in examination you will have to answer this in points only. Okay, so children, in increasing population we discussed that with increase in population we will be requiring more water for day to day activities, then we will be requiring more construction of more residential areas, right? And because of which we will be replacing the open sources of ground with the concrete floor, which will not allow the rainwater to replenish the groundwater. Okay, then with increasing industrial areas, again we have discussed it in detail, and then again the third point will be agricultural activities, right? So let's move to the next question, which is how does increasing population affect the water table? So children, what happens is, suppose we have a village where 20 people were living. Okay, now suddenly this population increased to 2000 people. So can the water requirement be fulfilled through rainwater? No, it cannot be fulfilled through rainwater, because rainfalls are already disturbed because of global warming, right? They are so unpredictable. So with the increasing population children, we will be required to harness the water which is present in the form of groundwater, and we will be harnessing it. So after over exploitation of this groundwater, it will lead to the depletion of water table. Why children? Because with increasing population there will be increase in the demand of water for day to day activities, like washing, cleaning, shaving, brushing, taking shower, all of these activities require water, because we cannot imagine a day without water, right? Everything, even for cooking, we require water. So children, with increase in population, these needs, daily needs for water will be increased. Okay, so more water will be required. Then children, with increasing population, there will be demand for more residential areas, right? And in order to create more residential areas and shopping complexes, malls, etc., or industries for that matter, we will have to do deforestation. That is, we will have to clear the forest area, forest cover, and while doing so, we will be replacing the soil area with the concrete floor, and concrete floors do not allow the rainwater to seep through it, and because of which the groundwater will not be replenished, and as a result it will lead to the depletion of water table. Okay children, so let's move to the next question, which is, how does agricultural activities affect the water table? So children, how do agricultural activities affect water table? Agricultural activities affect water table because children, this is also again related to the increase in population. So children, with a large population, there is a pressure on agricultural sector to produce more and more crops, to produce more yield, right? And for production of and for more production, we will be requiring more water, right? And all of these water needs cannot be fulfilled by simple rainwater. Although in India the agriculture is entirely dependent on monsoon, but since the monsoon or the rainwater which we receive every year is fluctuating, and it is already disturbed because of global warming, so what happens is children, the water needs cannot be fulfilled through rainwater. So what we do, we try to harness the groundwater using tube wells to irrigate our fields. Okay, and while doing so, we are exploiting the groundwater, which will ultimately lead to depletion of water table. Okay, so increasing agricultural activities will lead to depletion of water table. Okay, so let's move to the next question. How does industrial activities affect water table? So children, again the effect of industrial activities on water table will be that it will cause the water table to get depleted. And how? Because children, with increasing industrial activities, industries like paper industries or garments industries require a large amount of water children, and this amount of water cannot be fulfilled because of cannot be fulfilled through rainwater. So what they do is they harness groundwater using submersible tube wells, etc. Okay, and because of which they are over exploiting the groundwater, over exploitation of groundwater, and due to this the water table will be depleted. And also children, in order to create more industries, water will be required for their construction, because construction process requires a large amount of water. Then also, while creating the industrial areas, we will have to conduct deforestation, will have to clear the forest, and while doing so, we will be replacing the soil area with the pakka floors or the concrete floors that do not allow the water to seep through the soil. And as a result, the groundwater will not be replenished by rainwater, and it will lead to the depletion of water table. Okay, so let's move to the next question. How does deforestation affect water table? So children, how does deforestation affect water table? So children, why do we have to do deforestation? Because children, with the increasing population, we will be requiring more residential areas, more industries, and due to which we will be replacing most of the ground surface with pakka floor or the concrete floor, which will not allow the rainwater to seep through it, and as a result the groundwater will not be replenished. And also children, we know that when we are clearing the forest area, what we are doing, we are cutting more and more trees, and we know trees are responsible for maintaining the water cycle. How? Because trees do transpiration from the aerial parts, right? That is, they help the water to go from the earth to the atmosphere. through their leaves, right? So because of transpiration. So when we are cutting the forest, or we are doing deforestation, what we are doing, we are removing the trees, and this will create an imbalance in the water cycle, because less of the water will go into the atmosphere. So it is definite that we won't be receiving enough rainfall. Okay, so this is how deforestation will affect the water table. It will lead to the depletion of the water table, right children? So let's move to the next and the last question, which is how is groundwater replenished? So children, groundwater is replenished by rainfall. When rain falls on the catchment areas or in the ground open surface, the rainwater seeps through the soil, and when it seeps down the soil, it will replenish the groundwater. So children, groundwater is replenished by rainfall. Okay, and I really hope that you would have understood the concept really well, and you need not cram anything, because this is all common sense. You just have to think about it, just observe your surroundings, and I'm sure you will be able to answer any question that will be asked from this topic.